Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hello, welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. I'm Justin Noszek. I make music as The Plague Physicians. You can look us up at Bandcamp, and I play games. I'm here to talk about the delightful action RPG Legend of Mana. Before I dive in, I'd like to give you some background about how I got into the game. I was a big fan of the first Final Fantasy game in the long ago of the late 1980s. I devoured that game with the help of a Nintendo Power-created strategy guide. The game's ubiquity in my house did not escape my parents' notice, and on one Christmas they handed me Final Fantasy Adventure for my Game Boy. Final Fantasy Adventure was very different from the NES game I was in love with, but I can guarantee that most of the AA batteries drained in my Game Boy died at the hand of Final Fantasy Adventure, known in Japan as Seiken Densetsu. Secret of Mana followed on the SNES. I loved that game too, though I wasn't nearly as good or in love with it as I was Final Fantasy Adventure at the time. I eventually grew to love Secret of Mana just as much. Fast forward to the year 2000. I was freshly college graduated, newly married, and working in a used record shop that also sold games. I'd mainly been playing PlayStation games by this time and would use my employee discount to buy new games. When I was stocking new PS1 games, I came across Legend of Mana. I knew Squaresoft was still a quality name, and I had a good feeling about Legend of Mana, so I bought the copy I was supposed to stock. Legend of Mana was released in Japan in July of 1999, then in North America in June 2000. I'll come back to why there was a delay a little bit later, because it's kind of interesting. The game is not like the preceding Seiken Densetsu games. The graphics are watercolor-esque backgrounds, populated by sprites. The score is light and airy when you're roaming around. It gets a little heavier or darker in combat or more intense settings. It's simply lovely. After the 16-bit era, this was the difference between pan and scan and widescreen. When you start the game, you choose your player. There's a guy in red or a lady in violet. Then you have to select a 6x6 section of a world map. I remember looking over the map carefully, making sure I landed on a selectable segment of the map before getting into the game. As you moved the 6x6 box around, sections will be grayed out because the game requires you to have a couple spots of water on your map. After you confirm your map, you see a short opening sequence, then you get a mailbox artifact. This is where you really start the game. You build the map as you complete many of the game's 67 missions. These missions fall into 3 major stories, some smaller stories, and a few standalone quests. You'll eventually place 27 artifacts on the board, creating the world around you. What you learn as you play is that the placement of the artifacts matters. The elemental essence of the land itself, combined with the essence in each artifact, and the distance from the home artifact, contribute to which quests you can get to carry out, or which might be missed. Your home is a base that ends up featuring a monster corral, an orchard, a smithy, a musical instrument workshop, and a golem lab. It's fun to make instruments for magic use, or golems to be hardier companions, but where I really had a great time was the smithy. And, this is not to discount the monster corral. It's fun too. It's just a place where you can graze your monsters and keep a few of them on hand because you take them as companions when you go out to fight. Legend of Mana features a rich smithing system, though. That's, like I said, that's really where I had the best time with the home artifact. The rich smithing system begins with creating weapons and armor, but it really shines when tempering and altering those homemade armaments. The smithing system is complex and allows you to experiment with what you put into your weapons and armor, manifesting enhancements as cards that slot into the weapons or the armor. You can temper the produce you grow into your orchard, into your gear. You can temper in liquids, eyes, claws, and many other resources. The enemies in the game get stronger the farther you get from home, so making some stronger gear is a must. If you master the smithing mechanic, you can make really short work of tougher enemies as you progress. Or, you can make the game harder by making weaker gear. It's up to you. When you're outfitted, you can grab a pet or a golem, or grab a partner from the group of additional characters you meet in the journey. You can take out a party of up to 3 people, yourself, a golem or a pet, and a companion. Then you head out, do some quests. Your companions will fight alongside you, and There's another system where if you get close enough to each of your companions, there's a synchronization effect. And those synchronization effects, they work with proximity during the combat segments. You can augment your combat by learning the additional skills and special attacks, as simple as like minor skills like jumping or rolling away. And then there's some special attacks that just create wonderful little visual effects that that also take a lot of damage out of the enemies. Some fights are just hack and slash until done. Other fights require some strategy. You can use some of the special skills, like there's a crouch skill that actually lets you speed up your health recovery. But sometimes you might be in a fight and there's a lot of action going on, but as you get low on health, you have to find a way to back away from the combat enough so you can recover some health while avoiding attacks. So, and some of those battles with the strategy require a little bit of finesse. When you complete a mission, you're sent back to your home, where you can talk to a potted cactus that lives in your home. This potted cactus keeps a journal of your exploits. So it's a cute little thing you do after each mission. When you make it to the end, you can start a new game plus and unlock Nightmare mode. Or if you're really feeling wacky, you can enable No Future mode. Nightmare mode just beefs up, it basically doubles the base level of all the enemies. Nightmare mode, it's a cool challenge, but No Future mode, that pits you against enemies maxed out at level 99. So if you're brave enough to tackle Nightmare or No Future, then you increase the chance of getting stronger resources. You can build a new map and play through the game again to catch any quests you may have missed first time through as well. Fighting these stronger enemies to get better resources comes in handy if you're still tempering weapons, and if you're just trying to flex to see how powerful you can make something. It's fun to play through again on No Future. The best part for me is that Squeenix recently released a remaster of the game. The remaster brings everything I love about the original and adds to it autosave and save anywhere, a rearranged version of the score, and I mentioned we've come back to the delay in release between Japan and North America, and here's where that comes in. It brings the Pocket Station feature that was removed prior to the North American release. For those who may not be aware, the Pocket Station was Sony's answer to the Dreamcast's VMU. It was a memory card with a screen and rudimentary controls, and it allowed you to play Ring Ring Land, a mini game for the monsters that you raise in the game that makes them stronger and allows you to net additional items. You can get some rare resources by playing Ring Ring Land, or you just get additional experience for your monsters. But it was a lot of fun to see this feature that was removed from the North American version out of necessity because the Pocket Station didn't come to the United States. So it was really nice to see that in the remastered version. But that's it. That's Legend of Mana. It's a game that I put many hours into several times over. If quirky action RPGs are your jam, give it a shot. Thanks for listening. I've been Justin of the Plague Physicians. Look us up on Bandcamp. It's theplaguephysicians.bandcamp.com. Or you can follow us on Twitter at Plague Physician. And as always, happy gaming.
Hi, I'm Matt, aka Stormageddon, and I'm the host of CPOV Autographs at certainpov.com. It is a bi-weekly interview series where I interview folks from all over the arts, from writers to comedians to magicians to musicians, even actors, historians, podcasters, pretty much anyone who's willing to chat with me for a little bit. If you like interesting conversations with even more interesting people, go to certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts, and remember, music is life, and life is good.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.